Hello, fifth graders, and welcome to your language arts lesson for today. As we get into today, we're going to need our copy of Gilgamesh and our white binder. More specifically, we need to get our copy of this chart because we're going to continue working on that. So once you get your white binder, get your Is Gilgamesh Heroic chart out. We're going to pick up. So fifth graders, our objective today is again this considering of Gilgamesh's heroism. We've been doing this a little bit. We did this at our meeting on Friday, those of you who were there. And so we're going to continue that consideration of ours. So a couple of things. I'm actually going to flip you guys around so that we can get into talking about it. So a couple of reminders is that we need to include our page numbers. Okay. Which for the most part, we remembered last time. We needed a couple reminders here and there. We also want to use quotes, which means the author's exact words. We should be considering exactly what the author is stating, okay? And then finally, I should add this. We want to make sure we have our plus or minus, right? This is how we show, does Gilgamesh show this characteristic or not? Some of us were confused about that last time. So remember, we're going through and saying, yes, he's showing it, or no, he's not showing it. So we're going to work on this second column today. Much like last time, we're going to do part of it together, and then I'm going to ask you to do part of it on your own. We're looking at chapters 5 through 7. So these are the ones that we have worked on since the last time that we did this, okay? So the first thing I'm going to ask us to do is we're going to actually cross these out. If we've already decided that Gilgamesh is born of royalty, that's not going to have changed, right? If he was born of royalty the first time, he will continue to be born of royalty. Okay? So chapter 5 is the chapter death, and then through what we read yesterday, which is give up. So remember this second category, this is our performing of extraordinary feats category. And so we want to think, has Gilgamesh done almost superhuman, extraordinary things in these chapters? I'm thinking particularly of chapter 6, Afraid of Nothing. I think there's a lot of great evidence of extraordinary feats that he did in chapter 6. I'm thinking even maybe page 55, which isn't numbered, but it's the one that has those blue lines on the outside, navy blue. Or the next page, maybe a little bit. Just one. I really think there are a lot of other examples, but the idea that's come to me is this idea of going through dark as he walks and walks. So I see this quote in the middle there. On and on Gilgamesh went, or even the darkness had struck him blind, and he had to feel his way step by chilling step. So I think he still continues to perform extraordinary feats. I'm going to write that quote I just read. The darkness had struck him blind, and he had to feel his way step by chilling step. So remember, I have my plus sign there. It's a direct quote. And then this number page isn't actually numbered, but page 55. If you look at the next page, we can see that's 56. So this would be 55. So desires to prove worthiness. I find the chapter, oh, this is too far. I'm looking too far, fifth graders. I almost started talking about chapter 8, but we're not there yet. So desiring to prove his worthiness, I think Gilgamesh is desiring to prove that he is worthy of something. What is Gilgamesh trying to prove that he is worthy of? Hopefully you're thinking of one main thing that Gilgamesh is trying to prove that he is worthy of. Gilgamesh is definitely reflecting on this immortality. And I think pages 48 and 49, the beginning of chapter 6, really are him talking with his mother about this. If you look at 48, she says, "What secret? What is it that you want to know?" He says, "The secret of immortality, of course. What I have to do, where I have to go to live forever." I think that's a quote where he's definitely trying to show that he's worthy of immortality, right? He wants to figure out what I have to do, where I have to go to live forever. This is on page 48, the very beginning of Afraid of Nothing. And I think, yeah, this is another plus. I think he is trying to show that he is worthy, that he deserves immortality. I think this is something we're going to continue to see moving forward, this desire to prove that worthiness of gaining immortality. An interesting reflection. Okay. So we said before that we felt like Gilgamesh hadn't really overcome a lot of challenges in life. That up to this point, things had been going pretty well for him. I would argue that I think things have changed. I think that he has gone through some significant challenges in life, or a significant challenge. I wonder if you guys are thinking about what I'm thinking about. And I'm really thinking about Enkidu's death, right? That this is something that has changed him. It's been so significant in his life that he looks different, he's acting differently. It's almost like he's a different person. So this is a big challenge that he's had to try to overcome. Which I guess as I'm thinking about that, I'm reflecting, has he overcome that challenge? And I suppose at this point I'm not certain, but he's had to endure it. So I'm going to say that he at least is working to overcome a challenge in his life. And so we're looking at, I don't know, there's a lot of different quotes maybe you would pick. But I'm thinking of page 47 right now, as he's reflecting on Enkidu and his death. And he kind of talks about he would not curse Shamash or Anu or Enlil or Nergal or even Ishtar for taking his friend away from him. There's this paradox, he says, unbearable, and yet it had to be born. I like that quote. Overcoming this challenge. It was unbearable, and yet it had to be born. He has to deal with it. He has to overcome it. It's on page 47. So there seems to be more difficulty for Gilgamesh at this point in his life. My handwriting is a little bit lacking right now, isn't it? So fifth graders, just like last time, I'm going to ask you to work on the remaining 4, these reflections of Gilgamesh and his virtue. I think Gilgamesh gives us a lot to consider with regard to his virtue. Some of you maybe wrote this down last time. I'm writing this down as a reminder. Remember that we're putting in that plus or minus. We want it to be a quote and we want a page number. So it might be useful to put just copy down what I'm copying here so that when you're doing your homework, you're not forgetting to fill in those details. Fifth graders, remember that I posted the information about the virtues under the resources section of our class. So if you are wanting to go back again and reread the virtue cards or re-watch the virtue lesson, those are available. Again, it's under the resources section of your language arts classroom. So that's another resource you can reflect on as you're considering those virtues moving forward. I'm looking forward to seeing your guys' quotes. You did a really excellent job last time with your considerations, so I want to see what you're coming up with again this time, okay? Good luck, and let me know if you have questions.